Takeaway idea number 1. Create a future-proof you by learning. I want to challenge you to improve your resume every single year, regardless of whether or not you're happy with your job. And I don't mean pulling out your resume and improving it, wordsmithing it. I mean adding something every year that you've learned. The most agile business person I've ever had the opportunity to work for was Shark Tank's Mark Cuban. If you've seen him on Shark Tank, you know that he thinks fast, he moves fast, and he has, well, some sense of grace. After all, he was on Dancing with the Stars, right? But I went to work for him, and I quit a very good job running sales and marketing at the Discovery Channel at the height of that cable network because Mark Cuban impressed me with his commitment to lifelong learning. When I met him in July of 1996, he had already read about 70 books that year. Not just on internet technology, information technology, but on every subject that could possibly be adjacent to it. Because that's what he believed. He believed that you've got to go deep on your domain and be the world's greatest expert, that if you want to be a leader, you have to be the most educated person in the room because it's not about your title, it's about your capacity. He said if you're not reading, you're not keeping up. He also said you have to think adjacently because he says when you look at surrounding spaces to whatever you're involved with and you own them too systematically over the course of time, you develop an incredible sense of confidence when it comes to making changes. Because very often the reason that we're not agile is because we can't tolerate ambiguity and uncertainty. But ambiguity and uncertainty is just a lack of information. Let me illustrate why I was so impressed with Mark. When I did a little bit of research, as I went home and told my wife, I'm quitting this job, I'm working for this man in his loft in downtown Dallas, I'm sitting on a stack of phone books for $17,000 a year because he is the future, I had to give her a data point. And the data point came from the American Bookseller Association that said, the average business person, professional, in the United States reads 0.6 business books cover to cover every year. Oh, I mean, we buy made to stick. We love the cover with the duct tape. We set it right there on our desk for everyone to see, and we read the introduction. But the ABA declares the average person reads a little bit more than half of a professional-oriented book every year cover to cover. But a C-suite individual, according to their study, reads 6.7 business books every single year. Readers are leaders. And it's hard. But I think the way to do it is to challenge yourself not to read 70 books a year, but to read one book every 6 weeks. That's the plan I am very comfortable prescribing to you. One book every 6 weeks that improves your understanding of what's next. Not just in your industry, but in the adjacent industries that impact your industry, like information technology, going to have a huge impact on your industry. Demographic trends, going to have a huge impact on your industry. Sustainability issues are going to have a great impact. And if you read a book every 6 weeks, you will get into a learning pattern. That's what I started to do when I went to work for Mark. Because when you read often and you read to help other people in conversation, you begin to prescribe it in conversation. And instead of giving swag, like do you Yahoo shirts, you start to give books that have your cliff notes in it. Or you start to give recommendations of reading. As a matter of fact, I'll update my blog post that I referred to you earlier to add the 10 books I think WFF executives should read that are either core or adjacent to your industry. And the way that you read more is you change your lifestyle patterns, because when I begin to push Mark a little bit, he points back to John Maxwell. When I talk to John Maxwell, he points back to Benjamin Franklin, and it goes on and on and on. They were all readers, and what they did is they filled their transition time with book reading.